Section B, System Technologies. Question 2, Theory. For each of the terms in column A below, you should select the most correct definition in column C, matching the letter to the question number. You should merely write down the appropriate letter in column B. An example is shown in question 2.0 using W as the correct answer. Now I want you to pause and try to answer every single question here before we start. I'm going to give a detailed explanation as best as I can. For those of you who are not in access with a pen, paper, then you can just simply pause before I give the answer. If you do not do this, then you're a chicken. Now let us continue. 2.1. Solid state drive. The answer there, after looking through the option, is letter L. Question 2.2. Registers. For those of you who are not yet familiar with the component of a CPU, I advise that as a grade 12 learner or as a learner about to enter into the grade 12 class, you best get familiar with this because it is the most important thing you can do for yourself. Honestly, you have no idea how many questions come up about the component of a CPU, so get familiar. If you are familiar with it, then you will recognize that register is one of the components of the CPU. With that knowledge, you can easily find the answer, which is letter C. But let's discuss for a brief moment what registers are. Registers are inbuilt memory within the chip of the CPU. This memory stores every single data that the CPU is currently using and that the CPU will use thereafter the current process. This is how the CPU is able to maintain its speed. Next question, 2.3. CMOS. Complementary Metal Oxide Semiconductor. With the expansion of the abbreviation, all we have to do is look through the list of options and find any single instance of semiconductor. Once we do, we narrow down the search. We will notice that letter D and letter I both have semiconductor written in it. But now, therein lies the problem. We must understand the difference between CMOS and BIOS. If we have come this far and still don't understand the difference, then we can just look at what we understand about one of them. Most people tend to be on the BIOS side of complete comprehension due to their knowledge of CAT, Computer Applications Technology. With that, we can answer the question saying that letter D is BIOS for 2.7. Therefore, that only leaves us with the answer of letter I for question 2.3. Now let's take a look at the main differences. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor is a chip that stores configuration data for the computer's basic input and output system. Now notice that it stores the computer configuration data for BIOS, meaning that it only focused on storage. As for BIOS, we can see that this one is a semiconductor chip which stores instructions to load the basic computer hardware on startup, meaning that it accesses CMOS and not the other way around. BIOS accesses CMOS and CMOS stores configuration data which BIOS has instructions on how to load. Now, the question might be, what type of data does CMOS store? It stores information like date and time, boot order, hard drive settings, keyboard and mouse settings, and other low-level system settings. Now, when a person buys a laptop or a computer and sets it to dark mode, what happens once the computer switches off, and how does it remember? This is where CMOS comes in. That is a low-level system setting which makes it so that every single time you switch on your computer again, the computer remembers that the last system setting chosen was dark mode. 2.4. I/O range. I/O generally almost always stands for input-output. So with this knowledge, we can look through the list of options and find that letter N is the most logical answer. It acts as a buffer to speed up data transfer between input and output devices. 2.5. Virtual memory. If we look through the list of options, there are two most probable answers to this question. We notice that the technique is temporary data storage from the RAM to the hard drive and not from the hard drive to the RAM, because what we're trying to do is increase memory space and not decrease it. So because of this knowledge, we can safely eliminate letter P and choose letter M as our answer. Question 2.6. Compiler. The very word itself tells us that we're combining a group of individual logic into a single whole. With this, we can look through the list of options and find that letter K is our answer. Software used to convert source code into object code. 2.7. We've answered this, and the answer is letter D. 2.8. Freemium. Freemium is a type of software that allows you to download it and use it. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. Either on the first release or after the first update of the software, there are unbelievably advanced and cool perks and services that will only allow you to use it once you give away what is rightfully yours. A free software that has cool and advanced features that everybody wants to use but cannot use because they have not paid for the premium feature. So that's the gist of it. Free plus premium combines to freemium. And now you know. Answer is letter O. 2.9. SATA. The serial in this abbreviation stands for the fact that data packets are transferred in sequential order. That is, one after the other. Now this is an advanced technology because this technique increases the speed of the data transfer. It reduces the noise for those of you who are familiar with the noise machines usually make, especially those who buy a cheaper charger for their laptops. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then hopefully you'll get it. I ain't trying to curse anyone, I'm just trying to bless you with experience. The third is that it reduces power usage and many other. Now, the last A, which stands for attachment, means that it attaches mainly, if not even only, storage devices. Storage devices such as the computer's secondary storage, SSD and HDD. The answer there is letter B. Question 2.10, FSB, front side bus. Front side bus is a communication pathway which connects the CPU to the system memory, which is the RAM, and other components of the motherboard. With this definition, we can safely say that letter A is the correct answer.